I'm Jesse Wright, and this is my lab report on the three parts of the Virtual Lab 6 equilibriums. The 3 parts I chose to do were part A, part D, and part E. For part A is dealing with the pH of acetic acid. So in the first part is the equilibrium equation with the reactants on the left and the products on the right, and the pH of 0.1 moles of acetic acid is 3. And then when you add sodium acetate to the solution, the acetic acid solution has a pH of 6. For part D, it's a cobalt chloride equilibrium. So it has the cobalt chloride solution, and when you add more HCl to it, the solution turns a bright blue. And when the solution has more gets added HCl added to it and heat, it turns into a bright blue than the first stress factor. And then for the third stress factor, it's the solution plus HCl plus coldness, and it turns into a real dull blue. It's almost purple, grayish. For part E, part E is iron and iron thiocyanate equilibrium. So it is FeNO3 plus KSCN, which is the reference liquid, and that is a red liquid. And when you add heat to that reference, it turns into a burnt orange color. It's almost red, but it's more orange than red. And then when you add more FeNO3, it turns into a really dark red liquid. And then you add more KSCN, it turns into a brown liquid that's not entirely see-through. And for the fourth stress factor, if you add silver nitrate, it turns it into a bright white liquid. And then for each of the stress factors in part D and part E, each individual stress factor was added to the original solution. They weren't added into the previous stress factor. So in part D, the solution plus HCl was just the solution plus HCl, and then the second one was just the plain solution, original solution plus HCl plus heat. That concludes my presentation.